What if everything you needed to build a dream garden was already sitting in your trash? This isn't just another list of Pinterest perfect ideas. This is a story about turning old sacks, cloth bags, and forgotten containers into fences that grow food, spark joy, and look like they belong in the pages of a European fairy tale. Welcome to Backyard Fortune, where we turn cast-offs into countryside dreams. Timestamps are included, so feel free to jump to your favorite project. And if you have questions or want to share your creation, the comments section is wide open. We're here for it. Let's get inspired and start building. Bottle blossom garden wall. They say magic begins with small things, like the moment you stop throwing something away and start giving it a second life. In a quiet garden somewhere between sunlight and intention, empty plastic bottles, green, blue, clear, stand tall in rows, reborn as the walls of a living fence. Their colors gently shimmer under soft daylight, no longer forgotten waste, but guardians of new growth. Inside each one, a pinch of soil, a dash of care, and the miracle of patience. What once held soda or water now cradles life. Cucumbers curling up toward the sky, bright chilies stretching under the sun, tiny tomatoes ripening into joyful reds and golds. No part of this fence is perfect, and that's precisely what makes it real. Each bottle tells its own story. Some are cut smooth and neat, others still carry scratches and labels, like scars from their past. But together, they become something orderly, functional, and surprisingly beautiful. It's not factory-made, it's heart-made. Below, marigolds bloom like golden whispers along the edge. They don't just add color. They protect. They invite bees. They belong. And then, just a few steps away, you find another kind of boundary. Simple bottles planted upside down into soil, forming a soft garden border. Broccoli heads poke up through the top. Eggplants lift their purple crowns. Peppers, both red and yellow, dance beside green herbs. It's all edible, all alive, all quietly brilliant. There's no need for perfect symmetry, no rush to match colors. What matters is that it grows, that it nourishes, that it turns forgotten plastic into something useful, something visible, something worth tending. One garden, in another corner, takes it further still. Bottles painted in faded pastel tones, mint, rose, lavender, line the beds like soft poetry in plastic form. Lettuce spills over their tops, thyme and basil peek from their necks. Beneath them, gravel paths guide you past crates of mangoes, pineapples, and herbs ready to be plucked. And behind all of it, the air feels easy. The light is real. The silence is soft. You can almost hear the garden breathe. What you're seeing is not a fantasy. It's not computer magic or studio design. It's hands-on. It's achievable. And most of all, it's proof that even trash can become treasure if given a little time and love. So before you throw your next bottle away, pause. Imagine the wall it could become. The tomato it might one day hold. The butterfly it could attract. This isn't just about recycling. It's about remembering that beauty doesn't come from what we buy, but from what we care for. And sometimes, the most beautiful fences grow from the things we once forgot. Rustic crate garden fence. Sometimes, the most beautiful things begin with what's left behind. An old wooden crate, once filled with apples or leafy greens, now standing quietly in the sun, reborn as part of a garden fence. In this space, order doesn't mean perfection. It means care. It means intention. Crates, slightly weathered, some with faded stamps or rough corners, are stacked and aligned to shape not just a fence, but a living edge. Inside them, rows of mustard leaves and baby spinach rise steadily toward the light. Cucumbers curl upward, gently guided by bamboo supports, climbing toward a sky that feels wide and open. Each crate holds not only soil, but a small moment of transformation. There's something deeply grounding in the simplicity of it. A bench waits beneath the shade of a fig tree. The sound of gravel crunches underfoot. The scent of rosemary and basil floats softly on the breeze. It doesn't feel like a showcase, it feels like home. Some crates are left bare, raw wood showing the grain of time. Others are brushed lightly with paint in soft grays and creams, their neutral tones making the greens above them glow brighter. Lettuce spills gently from the top row. Marigolds peek out between the slats below, welcoming bees with quiet confidence. The balance is both visual and functional, flowers protecting vegetables, herbs mingling with fruit. It's not expensive. It's not complicated. It's real. The kind of idea that whispers instead of shouts. A reminder that beauty doesn't come from buying more, but from using what's already around us. A little further down the path, you see strawberries ripening beside rosemary, their red berries tucked beneath rich leaves. Chili peppers glow like lanterns beside thyme and tomatoes, each plant given its own space to stretch and grow. The crates are reinforced with wire or bamboo poles, steady and sure, but everything else feels soft, organic, alive. This is gardening made personal. A method that adapts to your space, your materials, your dreams. Whether you have a backyard or a balcony, a few crates can become something far more, a structure that grows food, frames your garden, and welcomes you each day with purpose. Before you throw that wooden box away, stop. Imagine what it could become with just a bit of soil, some patience, and the gentle rhythm of daily watering. This is not about decorating. It's about connecting. It's about stepping outside in the morning and seeing your food grow, not from packaging or plastic, but from something you gave a second life. And maybe, in the quiet beauty of that crate-lined path, you'll find something even more precious than a harvest, peace. Three, magical window trellis frame. Sometimes, the most ordinary object becomes the most extraordinary part of the garden. Old window frames, their glass long gone, once discarded and weathered by time, now stand with quiet dignity between rows of vegetables. Set upright in the soil and braced with bamboo, they form gentle trellises, natural guides for bitter melon, cherry tomatoes, climbing beans, and cucumber vines that stretch upward with purpose. There's no pretense here. Each frame wears its age proudly. Some still carry chipped paint in faded whites and soft browns. Others have rusted hinges that creak when touched. But together, they become something quietly poetic, a fence of memories that now gives shape to something new. The garden path nearby is lined with gravel, softly crunching underfoot as morning sun spills through the spaces in the wood. A metal watering can waits near a basket of freshly picked greens, still glistening with dew. It's not a garden designed for show, it's designed for use, for beauty that lives in rhythm with daily life. In another corner, the window frames are lifted just slightly, attached to a low wooden fence. Behind them, a wall of grapevines grows thick and steady, bunches of fruit hidden behind broad leaves. Thyme, bok choy, and rosemary rise from orderly beds below. And above, birds rest on the wooden beams, watching the garden carry on, undisturbed and complete. You don't need new materials to make something magical. You don't even need perfection. These frames were likely forgotten, found in a shed or purchased for pennies. But when placed with intention, they bring structure, air, and elevation to any small space. Even narrow garden rows feel transformed when framed this way. As you walk between them, rows of cucumbers and peas create green corridors between lines of reclaimed wood. The air smells of basil, eggplant leaves, and rich soil. And on each side, harvest baskets fill slowly, one with guavas, the other with dark purple eggplants. It feels peaceful, real, achievable. This is what happens when creativity meets reuse. When old windows no longer look inward, but outward, into sunlight and sky, holding up the vines of a new season. And for anyone who ever said gardening was too hard or too expensive, this space answers gently, it's not. Start with what you already have. A window, a seed, a little time. The rest will grow. Four, tin can veggie fence. Not everything that grows needs to begin with something new. Sometimes, the most delightful gardens start from the things we thought were finished. The tin can that once held soup, now holding basil and dreams. Along a quiet backyard fence, rows of tin cans have been gently painted in calming earth tones, sage, clay, and pale mint, then attached with care, one by one. Inside each, life has returned. Bright chili peppers sway gently in the breeze. Oregano stretches its tiny green leaves toward the sun. Purple basil glows in contrast, catching the afternoon light like a jewel among herbs. It's a garden made not from perfection, but from presence, of mind, of hands, of time. Elsewhere, a wire grid leans softly against the shaded side of a garden path. Tin cans dangle like notes on a musical scale, each one holding lettuce, cherry tomatoes, baby eggplants, and soft herbs. Some cans still have their lids curled open like petals, details left untouched, hints of their original purpose. Behind them, a pear tree leans forward, casting a warm speckled light across the leaves. On a bench nearby, a basket filled with freshly picked cucumbers waits, still cool from the morning harvest. This is a garden built from thoughtfulness, not trends. There's no need to hide the origin of these containers, they wear their simplicity with pride. Uniform in form but varied in content, they bring both order and abundance to the smallest corners of an outdoor space. And just beyond, near the vineyard, there's another version of this idea. Tin cans lined up like notes on a wooden beam, each one labeled in neat white script, thyme, parsley, cabbage, rosemary. The handwriting is slightly smudged in places, a reminder that this is a working garden, not a showroom. Bees hover nearby. Leaves rustle. The air is bright and light and real. There's a rhythm to this kind of reuse. A way it brings structure to what would otherwise be scattered. The cans are easy to clean, easy to hang, easy to replace. But more than that, they remind us of something essential, that beauty doesn't have to cost money. It just needs a shift in how we see. So the next time you reach for the recycling bin, pause. Look again. That tomato tin in your hand could become the beginning of a vertical garden, a living fence, a border bursting with color and flavor. All it takes is a bit of soil and a seed. Because when we stop throwing things away, we start growing something far more valuable, a new way of living. Broken chair fruit wall. They were broken, unwanted, forgotten at the back of dusty sheds or leaning lopsided beside trash bins. But today, these old chairs are no longer symbols of waste. They've become something far more enchanting, a living fence blooming with fruits, herbs, and stories of rebirth. In a quiet corner of a European-inspired garden, worn-out chairs line the edge of a vegetable bed like loyal guardians. Each one tells a different tale, their backs sun-faded, their paint chipped by years of use, their seats now filled with dark, nurturing soil. No longer made for sitting, they now carry the weight of strawberries, cherry tomatoes, and mint that spills gently over their wooden frames. Some are painted white, catching glimmers of morning light. Others show off their natural timber, the grain softened by age and weather. And hanging from their backs, like old souls offering gifts, are wire baskets holding fresh pears and clusters of grapes. The gentle sway of these fruits in the breeze gives the garden a rhythm, like a waltz composed by time, patience, and hope. You see, this isn't just clever upcycling. This is a way of reimagining boundaries. What was once simply a garden fence is now a celebration of second chances. A creative wall made of chairs, some cracked, others mismatched, working together to grow food, to offer shade, to inspire joy. Look closer. That melon hanging from twine? It's being nurtured between two chair backs. That guava nestled in a planter box? Grown from a chair that once might have graced someone's kitchen table. Ivy now curls around the legs like nature's ribbon, dressing each chair in a quiet elegance. And it's not complicated. All it takes is a chair with a strong back, a little soil, and your imagination. You can start small. One chair, one pot, one plant. You don't need symmetry or perfection or even a full yard. Just a love for what could be, if only you gave it a chance. This garden fence didn't come from catalogs. It wasn't built with new lumber or expensive tools. It came from curiosity and the simple decision to see value where others saw junk. So if you're walking past an old chair on the curb, stop. Look again. It might just be the beginning of your own magical garden wall, one made not from money, but from meaning. And maybe, just maybe, the most beautiful fences are the ones that don't keep the world out, but invite nature in. Six, woven basket wall of greens. Somewhere between a sunlit garden path and the whisper of morning breeze, a quiet miracle unfolds. Not in grand castles or royal gardens, but right here, in the humble rhythm of reused wicker baskets, reborn as living fences. At first glance, they may look like the kind of baskets you'd find forgotten in your attic or piled up at a flea market stall. But with a little soil, a bit of love, and the courage to imagine differently, they become lush, breathing walls of green. Lettuce ruffles like frilled lace, pak choi unfurls with gentle confidence, and tiny melons dangle like treasures from the past. It's not just gardening, it's storytelling. Each basket is a chapter of warmth, crafted by hands that believe even the smallest spaces can carry life. In one garden, we see them tied carefully to bamboo rails, forming a tidy row along the brick edge, like soldiers of sustainability. The leaves reach outward, grateful for morning sun, while tendrils trail over the sides like whispers of nature reclaiming its place. In another, the same baskets hang proudly on a stone wall, their woven bodies catching golden light. A pair of gardening gloves sits nearby, proof that this beauty is not accidental. It's intentional, achievable, and made from love, not luxury. And then, further along a cobbled path, we find a full fence, built entirely of reused baskets. Herbs, greens, even climbing cucumbers burst from their soil beds. Each basket slightly tilted to drink in the daylight. Each one proof that what others throw away can become the very thing that makes your garden sing. If you've ever thought your space was too small, too plain, too cluttered, let this be your invitation. Your hands can build this. Your family can grow into it. And your story, just like these baskets, can bloom from things no one else believed in. So next time you're about to toss something out, pause. Look again. Because perhaps what you're holding isn't garbage. Maybe it's your first step toward a garden straight out of a fairy tale. Seven. Teacup Fairy Garden Fence. In the gentle hush of a spring morning, there's a kind of magic that blooms quietly, nestled in the unlikeliest of places. Not in silver-laced catalog pages or showroom windows, but in the soft curve of a chipped teacup, resting on a fence plank kissed by dew. You see, beauty doesn't always need to be bought. Sometimes, it's steeped in memories and soil. These tiny teacup gardens aren't just whimsical, they are deeply practical. Hung lovingly along a wooden rail or knotted on a rope between two posts, each cup holds a world of flavor and fragrance. Sweet strawberries blush under the sunlight, nestled beside sprigs of thyme or shy shoots of rosemary. The ceramic cups, once forgotten in kitchen cupboards or cracked during family dinners, now cradle life, flavor, and story. And there's something calming about the arrangement. Whether it's a row of mismatched pastels on weathered wood, a line of crisp white swaying from a rope, or floral printed heirlooms fastened to reclaimed shutters, each feels like a personal letter to the earth. These fences aren't meant to divide, but to connect. They tie together herbs, fruit, flowers, and family. If you're imagining this as out of reach, pause. Because this is exactly the kind of project you can do, right now, with what you already have. Gather those teacups sitting unused. Find some twine, a few screws, or even an old wooden shutter. Fill each cup with a scoop of soil, add a seedling or two, and give it water, light, and a little love. You'll be amazed how fast it becomes your favorite corner of the garden. It's not just about reuse, it's about restoring a sense of wonder to the everyday. With every cup you hang, you're building not just a fence, but a boundary of beauty and intention. Bees hum softly nearby, the scent of mint and basil drifts through the air, and visitors stop in surprise. You grew that from teacups. Yes, you did. And you can do it again. This is what it means to turn waste into wonder. Not just recycling, but reimagining. And with a little heart, a little earth, and a touch of fairy tale charm, your garden fence can become a story that grows fresh each morning. So next time you find a broken cup or a faded mug, don't throw it away. Plant something instead. And let the story bloom. Eight. Vintage Drawer Garden Wall. What if I told you that the drawers you almost threw away could be the beginning of a garden story whispered under the sun? In quiet corners of Europe, where time moves slowly and gardens grow like folklore, there's a secret that generations of hands have known. Nothing is ever truly waste if you see it with purpose. And this is where our garden begins. A forgotten dresser, a cabinet too old for the bedroom, reborn as a wall of life. Each drawer, once filled with papers, socks, or teaspoons, now cradles green wonders, onions stretching like dancers toward the light, broccoli heads forming tight clusters of promise, and time that spills like soft green lace over the edge. In one corner, a grapevine begins its climb, trailing with a gentle wildness, reminding us that beauty doesn't need perfection, just room to grow. On another wall, drawers are painted in faded hues of blue and pine, some chipped, some sun-kissed, and all alive. Lettuce, rosemary, parsley, and tiny guava saplings grow with elegant defiance, each tucked neatly inside these rescued boxes. The setup is simple, the joy immense. You don't need acres, just imagination and a few nails. And here, beside an old bicycle and a shutter leaning lazily against the fence, another drawer garden thrives. Spinach and scallions, tomatoes blooming golden stars, and woven baskets filled with grapes, proof that abundance comes to those who plant with patience. A black liner tucked neatly inside each drawer holds the soil tight, giving roots a place to stretch and stay. So how can you bring this to life? Start with what you have, a drawer or two, a wall that catches the sun. No drawer is too old. In fact, the older, the better. The more stories it holds, the more soul your garden will bloom with. Line the inside with landscape fabric or even thick plastic, poke a few drainage holes, fill with compost-rich soil, and begin. Herbs love shallow beds. Leafy greens? They'll grow anywhere if you whisper encouragement and water in the morning. Don't worry about it looking perfect. These drawer gardens aren't about polished beauty, they're about a charm that feels lived in, real. And that's exactly what makes them magical. Imagine waking up and stepping into your backyard, plucking fresh spinach from what used to be a sock drawer. Watching tomatoes ripen beside an old brass knob. Watering time as sunlight paints everything gold. This isn't just a DIY project. It's a return to something older than us. A ritual of care. A small act of rebellion against waste. And perhaps a new beginning for both your garden and your home. So don't throw them away. Let the drawers tell a new story, one that grows leaves, roots, and fruit. One that brings a touch of European fairytale charm to your very own backyard. And when your neighbors peek over the fence in surprise, smile gently, you've just turned trash into something timeless. Nine, glimmering glass bottle hedge. They say beauty hides in unexpected places. And sometimes, it shimmers in shades of emerald and amber, glass once tossed away, now reborn as something poetic. This garden doesn't begin with expensive panels or store-bought fences. It begins with a humble collection of used bottles, green, brown, and clear, each one carrying a past, now standing proud as part of a vibrant, living border. In one corner, the bottles are pressed into the earth upside down, forming a tidy, jewel-toned hedge along a mulched bed. Between them rise pineapple plants, spiraled, sharp-edged, and sun-loving. The fruit peeks shyly between leaves, as if surprised to be part of such grace. A path of pale stones and smooth gravel runs beside it, guiding your footsteps gently past a border that hums with warm afternoon light. It feels almost tropical, yet grounded, like a secret courtyard in the south of France touched by Caribbean dreams. In another scene, the glass is held within a sturdy wooden frame, laid horizontally like quiet soldiers guarding the watermelon vines beyond. The fruits are still small, still growing, but the scene is full of potential. You can almost feel the warmth of the soil, smell the sun-baked earth. Some bottles are weathered, scratched with time. Others still sparkle faintly in the light. And yet, together, they create a rhythm, a soft chorus of reuse and calm resilience. This isn't a perfect garden. It's a real one. And it's all the more magical for that. Then, we turn to a corner of the yard where glass bottles have been stacked between wire grids, held together by wooden frames. The light filters through them like stained glass in a countryside chapel. Young lassie trees stretch their arms upward from the soft soil below, their delicate branches dotted with shy green fruit. Nearby, a wooden crate holds baskets and tools, honest work, humble beginnings. It's easy to imagine yourself here, sleeves rolled up, fingers in the dirt, humming as you bring something back to life. These fences are more than boundaries. They are stories, each bottle once discarded, now part of something rooted and growing. They're easy to build with a bit of patience and creativity. No special tools needed. Just imagination, intention, and a belief that what's old can be beautiful again. So before you toss that next glass bottle into the bin, ask yourself, what could it become? Because in the right hands, even trash can glimmer like treasure. Fabric sack harvest border. Sometimes, the most magical gardens don't bloom from grand plans or polished materials. Sometimes, they grow from what others might discard, a wrinkled bag, an old sack, or a forgotten cloth tote. And yet, in the quiet corners of a backyard kissed by sun and dew, these humble pieces become cradles of life. Along a modest wooden fence, once empty rice sacks and jute bags now breathe with purpose. Their seams are tied tight with rope, their bellies full of rich, compost-fed soil. In each one, a small harvest rises. Mustard greens shimmer with morning moisture, bok choy unfurls like green fans, and young lettuce glows in the soft light of a European countryside afternoon. There is no perfection here, only usefulness, rhythm, and grace. Some of the sacks wear their years like a badge, stitched corners, faded prints, and patches where time left its mark. But instead of being hidden, they are proudly shown, elevated into garden borders that don't just contain the earth, but give back to it. Wander a bit further and you'll see canvas grocery bags and used backpacks resting gently against a bamboo screen. Cabbage curls deep purple beside bright scallions and frilly kale. Handwritten tags flutter slightly in the breeze, each plant labeled with care, as if the garden is telling you its story one root at a time. The paths are lined with gravel and the ground is soft. Every step feels like walking through intention. And near a garden shed, simple grow bags line a dirt path like guardians of the harvest. Chalkboard signs announce each crop: broccoli, lettuce, melons. Bees hum lazily around thyme and mint, and the afternoon light stretches long and golden, as if it, too, has come to visit this little Eden born of reuse. The beauty of this border is not only in its harvest, but in its message, that with patience and imagination, even the most ordinary materials can nourish both soil and soul. You don't need a budget. You don't need perfection. You just need a patch of sunlight, a little earth, and the willingness to see treasure where others see trash. So gather what you have. Stitch what you can. Tuck in seeds. Let time and sunlight do the rest. One day, you'll look out and realize your garden doesn't just grow food, it grows stories. If this video sparked even a single new idea, please consider subscribing. It helps keep this small channel alive, and it lets us keep bringing you more magic from everyday materials. Drop a like, share it with a friend, and tell us in the comments. Which one would you build in your own backyard? Until next time, may your garden be filled with wonder, and your hands with purpose.